it's truly mesmerizing what happened there. Next. Giant stone blocks, some of which weigh in excess of 120 metric tons. And the quarry where these stones were brought in from is about 120 miles, 80 miles away. And the question that lends itself, well, how were these giant platforms transported from the quarry to its present location? And of course, the archaeologists will tell you, very easy answer, wooden rollers. Okay, fine. That sounds very interesting. It sounds very reasonable. But anyone with a keen eye will see that there are no trees. There are barely any bushes. Why? Because at 12,800 feet, we are above the natural tree line, which means no trees ever grew and never will grow at that altitude, meaning no trees ever existed that could have been felled down in order to harvest wooden rollers with which they would have transported these these giant stone blocks. Next. Next. Everywhere, you know, total no rhyme or reason. Next. Next. Anyone, I don't know, do we have any stone cutters or artists in here that work with stone at all? These right here are known as inside cuts. Anyone that knows anything about working with stone will tell you that some of the most difficult things to achieve with stone cutting is something like this in here. Because the question is, how do you remove the back of this little, you know, rectangle that was cut out here? Next. And I'll get back to that later. At Puma Punku, we also find this block right here. If we go closer, you can find this groove. Next. That goes straight down. Next. And it has these holes that are equidistant from each other. And if you apply just a little bit of pressure with your finger and you slide down, you can cut yourself. That's how precise these rocks are. Now, they all look very coarse, but next time you go there and you touch these pieces, you'll realize that they're as smooth as a bathroom mirror. So truly amazing workmanship right there. Next. And here, for example, you can see how this curve right here goes underneath. It's almost like a bench, but it really wasn't a bench. And the curve underneath here has no deviation from this side. The entire place of Puma Punku is void of any glyphs. There's not a single carving of a flower or a face or whatever else. It's 100% anonymous. Now, like I said, only 200 yards away at Tiwanaku, you find hundreds of faces, you find hundreds of hieroglyphs or glyphs, and guess what? Those glyphs have actually been translated by independent scholars. And they all came up with the same conclusion, that Tiwanaku was only built because something extraordinary happened at Puma Punku earlier. Yet, mainstream archaeologists will tell you that Puma Punku is younger than Tiwanaku. And that is a flat-out lie. So, what do the translations say about Puma Punku that were found on the temple of on the gate of the sun at Tiwanaku? Well, it said that 28,000 years ago. That's how far back this calendar goes. something extraordinary happened, and it had to have something to do with star beings descending from the sky. Yet, what do? We just look the other way and say, well, not the people in this room, but the archaeologists are saying, you know, that was just another story that our ancestors just came up with out of the figment of their imagination. And in my opinion, like I said before, that is the insult in our ancestors' face, because it basically means that our ancestors didn't know what the hell was going on, and so they were just sitting around having nothing better to do than coming up with these stories. And so, next. Go on. Okay, just give me 5 minutes, please. I'm done with it.